The ground shook with every blast. Smoke filled the sky. Loud gunfire echoed across the battlefield. Human and alien soldiers were fighting with everything they had. Jake, a young human soldier, ran through the dust. His body was tired. His face was covered with blood and sweat. His right arm was wounded, but he kept moving. He had to survive. Behind him, explosions lit up the broken buildings. The enemy was close machines with sharp arms and glowing red eyes. The alien machines had already killed many humans. Jake knew he might be next. He fell behind a broken wall and tried to catch his breath. His communicator was dead. No one was answering. His team was gone. Maybe they were all dead. I can't die here, Jake whispered to himself. But his leg was bleeding badly. He was weak. He pressed a cloth on his wound and leaned back. Suddenly, the ground shook again, but this time it felt different. Heavy steps, slow, loud, not machines. Something big. Jake looked up. At first, he thought it was just smoke. But then, a shadow moved. Out of the dust came a tall figure, very tall. She stood at least 9 feet high. Her skin was light blue and smooth. Her long white hair flowed like silk. Her eyes glowed softly, like the moon. She wasn't like the war machines. She wasn't wearing a soldier's uniform. Instead, she wore a long silver robe. Her hands were open. She did not carry any weapons. Jake tried to reach for his gun, but his hand was shaking. He couldn't lift it. He was too weak. Tall alien woman walked slowly toward him. Her eyes looked at him with sadness. She knelt down beside him. Jake stared up at her. "What are you?" he whispered. She didn't speak. She just looked into his eyes and slowly placed her hand on his chest. Her touch was warm, soft, not like a soldier, not like a killer. Jake wanted to move, to crawl away, but he couldn't. His body was giving up. The woman picked him up, like he was light as a feather. He should have felt afraid, but for some reason, he didn't. As she carried him away, Jake saw the machines closing in behind them, but they didn't follow. It was like they were afraid of her. The alien woman walked calmly through fire and ruins. Nothing stopped her. Her long legs stepped over broken metal and dead bodies. Jake's eyes were closing. His breath was slow. But in that moment, he felt safe. His last thought before he passed out, "Why is she helping me?" Hours passed. Or maybe it was days. Jake opened his eyes. He was not on the battlefield anymore. He was lying in a soft bed under a glowing ceiling. The air was warm and smelled like flowers. Strange lights floated around like tiny stars. He looked down. His wounds were gone, bandaged with strange blue fabric. His pain was almost gone too. Then he heard soft footsteps. The tall alien woman entered the room. She looked at him and smiled gently. Jake sat up slowly. "Where am I?" She didn't answer with words. Instead, she walked to him and placed a glowing stone in his hand. When he touched it, he saw pictures in his mind. A safe place, far from war, a healing place. Her home. She showed him a picture of him lying on the battlefield. Then, another picture of herself, crying, holding a broken toy. A child's toy. Jake realized something. She had lost someone in the war too, maybe. A child. She didn't save him because he was a soldier. She saved him because she couldn't let another young life die. Jake looked at her again. He didn't know who she was. He didn't know where he was, but one thing was clear. This giant alien woman had saved his life, and now he was part of something much bigger than he understood. Jake woke up slowly. Everything felt soft, quiet, and warm. Not like the battlefield. Not like Earth. His eyes opened to a strange glowing ceiling. The light was not like sunlight, but soft and floating. Like tiny stars dancing above him. He sat up carefully. His wounds were healing. Blue bandages covered his leg and arm. He looked around, confused. The room was round. The walls looked alive, smooth, and pulsing like gentle waves. Strange flowers grew from the corners. Some floated in the air, glowing softly. He was lying on a bed made of silk-like vines. It wasn't a bed made for humans, but it was warm and safe. Then he saw her again, the giant alien woman. She stood in the doorway watching him. Tall and quiet, with long white hair and soft glowing eyes. She held a bowl with some kind of soup inside. Jake stared. She looked like something from a dream. A dream inside a war. She walked slowly to him and sat on the floor. She didn't speak. Instead, she handed him the bowl. Jake looked at the food. It smelled sweet and fresh. He was hungry. He took a small sip. It tasted like honey and warm milk. He nodded. "Thank you." She smiled gently. She touched her chest and made a sound. "Mira." Jake blinked. "Mira, is that your name?" She repeated it again, softer. "Mira." He pointed to himself. "Jake," she nodded. "Jake." They sat in silence. But something passed between them. Not words, not thoughts, just feeling. After eating, Jake stood and walked slowly. He saw a curtain of vines at the back of the room. When he pushed it aside, his eyes widened. Outside was not a normal planet. It was a floating island in space. Giant purple trees swayed in zero gravity. Water flowed in the air like ribbons. Small glowing fish swam through the air like birds. Far below were stars, real stars. Jake stepped forward in awe. He was standing in some kind of floating sanctuary, hidden far away from any war. Mira followed him and pointed to the sky. She touched her glowing stone and held it near his head. Suddenly, images filled his mind. Her past. She showed him visions of fire and death. Her people had once lived on a peaceful planet. But war came, machines, fire, pain. Mira had lost a child. A young one, blonde like Jake. Jake's heart hurt. She wasn't just some alien. She was a mother who had lost everything, and now she had saved him. That night, Jake lay under glowing leaves. Mira sat near him, her large eyes watching the stars. Jake whispered, "Why did you bring me here?" She didn't speak. But she touched her stone again. Another vision, a battlefield. A dying soldier, her reaching out, carrying him. She showed him her heart, not with words, but with light and emotion. Jake understood. She couldn't save her own child. But maybe she could save someone else's. She wasn't just kind. She was broken, lonely, searching for hope. Jake looked around again. This place, it wasn't just strange. It was safe. No war, no orders, no pain. He looked at Mira. This tall, gentle alien had pulled him from death, healed him, and brought him to a world no human had ever seen. He felt small beside her, but he didn't feel weak. He felt protected. Days passed, maybe more. Jake stopped counting. He had food, clean air, and peace. His wounds were gone. His mind, however, still asked one question. Why did she really save me? Mira, the giant alien woman, was always near, watching, helping, protecting. But she never spoke. Not with words. Still, Jake began to understand her. A little more each day. When he felt pain, she touched her glowing crystal and shared soft, warm light. When he was afraid, she shared pictures, memories in his mind, not from a machine. From her. One morning, Jake walked outside the strange roundhouse. The sky was purple. Floating rivers danced across the air. He saw creatures shaped like birds, but they had no wings. Mira sat by a tree made of glass. She was drawing on the ground with her long fingers. Jake came closer. She pointed to the sand. It was a drawing, a small boy holding hands with a tall woman. They stood in front of a burning city. Jake stared. "Is that your son?" Mira looked at him. Her face changed, sad, quiet. She touched the drawing gently, then erased it. Jake felt his chest tighten. She wasn't just being kind. She was trying to remember something she lost. That night, Jake couldn't sleep. He walked quietly through Myra's home. He found a room he hadn't seen before. The door was made of vines. It opened when he touched it. Inside were shelves, filled with human items, a broken helmet, a soldier's badge, a small earth toy, a plastic car. Jake's heart dropped. He wasn't the first human here. He stepped forward slowly, then saw something glowing in the corner. A photo, a real human photo, damaged but clear. It showed a soldier, young, blonde, like Jake. Jake picked it up. The face looked too familiar. He turned to leave, but Mira was standing in the doorway. She didn't look angry. She looked tired. Jake held up the photo. Who was he? Mira stepped into the room. She touched the photo gently. A memory came. A vision. Another battlefield. Another wounded soldier. She saved him too. She cared for him, like she did for Jake, but that soldier tried to leave. He wanted to go back to Earth. Mira begged him not to. He ran, and he died in space. Alone. Jake dropped the photo. So he wasn't special. He was just the next one. He walked past her without speaking. That night, he sat near the glowing river outside the house. He stared into the stars, thinking. In the morning, he made a choice. He would ask her the truth. Mira, he said calmly, how many humans have you brought here? She said nothing. He pointed to the hidden room. That's your museum, isn't it? Your collection? She lowered her head. Jake stood up. I'm not your replacement. I'm not your son. I have a home. But Mira stepped closer. She didn't stop him. She only showed another memory. This time, it was different. She showed herself holding a small child, blonde, laughing. Then war. The child died. The pain burned like fire. Then, Earth soldiers came. Some were kind, some were cruel. But she kept saving the ones she could, because deep inside her, she couldn't stop being a mother. Jake felt something heavy in his chest. She wasn't trying to replace someone. She was trying to keep someone alive, even if it was just the feeling. He looked at her again. You don't talk, he said softly, but I hear you now. Mira sat beside him and looked up at the stars. Two beings, two worlds, no language. Only a quiet understanding, but far away in the dark sky. Something blinked, a red light. A satellite. Earth had found him. And now, someone else was coming. Jake couldn't stop thinking about that room. The photo. The items. The truth. He wasn't the first. Mira had saved other humans before him. Many? Where were they now? He watched her more closely now. Her smile, her silence, her kindness, was it real? Or was it something she had done again and again? That night, as she rested beside the glowing tree, Jake slipped away. He returned to the secret room. This time he stayed longer. He opened boxes. Inside were more things, boots with earth tags, torn notebooks, a broken communicator. Each object told a quiet story. Then he found something new, a recording device. Still working. He played it. A human voice crackled through the static. Day 22. She won't let me leave. This place is beautiful, but it feels like a trap. She's kind, but something's wrong. I think she lost someone. I remind her of him. I think she wants me to stay forever. Jake turned it off. His hands were shaking. The voice was scared. Mira wasn't just saving people. She was keeping them. The next morning, Jake didn't speak to her. He smiled politely, ate her fruit, walked with her, but deep inside he was planning. He needed to find out if anyone had ever escaped. Later that day, while Mira was watering glowing plants, Jake followed a trail behind the floating cliffs. It led to something hidden behind thick vines. A door, metallic, old. He pushed it open. Darkness. Inside, it was cold, quiet, too quiet. Then he saw something on the wall. Names. Carved into metal. Mark Tina Cooper Leah Sam. Next to each name was a mark. 5 names. Only one had no mark beside it. Sam. Jake stepped deeper. He found beds, broken chairs, pieces of Earth uniforms. A cracked helmet lay on the floor, and then he saw bones. Human bones. He stepped back, heart racing. Then he heard something. A whisper? A breath? No. A cry. From behind a wall, he pressed his hand against the stone. It opened, revealing a hidden chamber. Inside was a pod, full of strange, glowing liquid, and in it something floating, not dead, not alive, a human body, young blonde, pale. It looked just like Jake. Suddenly, he heard footsteps, heavy, calm. Mira was there. She had followed him. Jake turned around, his eyes wide. What is this? What are you doing here? Mira looked at the pod. Her face was not angry, not sad, just empty. She walked to the side and touched the glass. A memory filled Jake's mind. She had tried to clone someone. Her lost child, her lost soldier, over and over again. She couldn't let go. So she kept trying to make someone stay. Jake stepped back. You're not saving us. You're replacing someone. Mira looked at him. Her eyes glowed gently. She touched her stone. Another image. A soldier, running into the stars, burning. Lost. She had only wanted to stop the pain. Jake's voice cracked. You can't keep people like toys. You can't turn us into ghosts. Mira lowered her hand. She looked smaller now, as if the truth had made her shrink. She wasn't a monster. She was broken. But even broken things can be dangerous. That night, Jake sat alone on the hill of stars. He had a choice. Escape. Call Earth. Tell them what he found. Or stay. Watch her. Understand her more. But something deep inside told him he couldn't stay here much longer, because if he did, he might never leave. Jake couldn't sleep. He lay under glowing vines, staring at the stars above. Mira sat near him, quiet as always, her tall form almost blending into the night. But Jake wasn't calm anymore. He had seen too much. The hidden room, the bones, the pod, the clone that looked like him. He needed answers, real ones. At midnight, when Myra went inside to rest, Jake moved quietly. He held a glowing rock for light and returned to the back of her home. There, half covered by moss and stone, he found what he was looking for. A hatch. A door in the ground. It was locked, but Jake remembered something. On his first day here, Mira gave him a small crystal stone to carry. He never knew why. He pressed it into the hatch. Click. It opened. A cold breath of air hit his face as he climbed. Down, the space below was huge, carved from dark stone. Quiet, too. Quiet. The walls were covered with strange symbols and drawings. He passed tubes, wires, floating lights. Then he saw something that made him freeze. Pods. Dozens of them. Each one held a person. Some were human. Some were half human, half alien. All were asleep. Or maybe not alive. Jake stepped forward, heart pounding. His voice was shaking. What is this place? He read the tags beside the pods. Subject 12, failed. Subject 17, memory burnout. Subject 23, stable clone, deceased. Some looked exactly like soldiers from Earth. One even had Jake's face. This wasn't just a lab. It was a graveyard of experiments. He turned a corner and found a table. On it were notebooks, old and dusty. Mira's handwriting was strange but readable through the translator stone. They always leave. They always forget me. So, I will create one who stays. Jake stepped back. She was trying to make the perfect version of someone she lost. She didn't just want to help. She wanted to rebuild the past. Suddenly, Jake heard a soft hum. He turned. Mira stood at the top of the stairs, but her eyes, they were not soft this time. They were glowing brighter. Like fire. She stepped down, Slowly. Jake didn't move. You lied to me. Mira didn't speak. She just reached out her hand. Jake raised the recording device he had taken earlier. He pressed play. The voices of past humans echoed through the room. She's not what she seems. She means well, but this place is a trap. Get out while you still can. Mira paused. Her hand lowered. Something changed in her face. She walked past Jake, touched one of the pods, and let it power down. The lights faded. The clone inside turned to dust. She stood still, silent. A giant crumbling from the inside. She finally looked at Jake. And for the first time, spoke with her voice. Her voice was soft, deep, shaking. I only wanted someone to stay. Jake didn't know what to say. He had hated her 5 minutes ago. Now he only felt pain. Not his, hers. She had lived alone for so long, saving soldiers, losing them, trying to rebuild someone who was already gone. This wasn't a lab. This was her prison. He walked past her, back to the stairs. I don't hate you, Mira, he said, but I can't stay in the dark. She didn't follow. She just whispered behind him, almost like a prayer. Don't call them. They will destroy this place. Jake stopped at the door and realized. She already knew he had sent the signal. Earth was coming. Jake stood at the edge of the cliff, watching the stars. In the distance, above the black space horizon, a light blinked once. Then again. Earth had heard his signal. They were coming. Behind him, Mira stood still. The wind touched her long white hair as she looked up at the same stars. Jake didn't turn around. I told them, he said softly. I told Earth I was alive. Mira didn't reply. Her silence was heavy now, not gentle. I didn't mean to betray you, he added. But they're my people. Still nothing. Jake looked at her. You knew they would come, didn't you? She finally nodded. They walked back to her home together, quietly. No words. No light between them. Now. Inside, Mira brought out a small orb, a memory crystal. She held it near Jake. It showed him something new. Her planet. It was once full of children. Her people were peaceful, strong, tall, and kind. Then the machines came. War broke out. Her child was taken from her during the battle. She tried to fight. She couldn't save him. So she waited. When the humans came, she saw the same fear in them. She saved one, then another, and then another, but none of them stayed. She wanted to protect them. She wanted a son again. Jake sat down, breathing deeply. Mira, I don't hate you, he said, but this isn't life. This is hiding. You're not just protecting people, you're trapping them. Mira turned away, her face unreadable. Then she pointed toward a back wall. It opened slowly, revealing another room. Jake walked inside. It was small, cold. And there, in the middle, stood a new pod. Inside it was a baby. Human, or almost human. Small, growing inside liquid light. Jake froze. What is this? Mira walked to the side. She touched the glass softly. She spoke in a broken voice, words she had never used before. This one will not leave. And me. Jake stepped back. You made this? She nodded. Jake felt sick. You tried to make me, and now you're making someone else? Mira looked at him, eyes glowing with sorrow. Not you, not him. Just someone who stays. Jake turned away. He couldn't look at the pod anymore. I can't stay here, he said, if this is what you're doing. Mira placed a small beacon in his hand. You can go, she said quietly. No walls, no cage. Jake stared at the beacon. It would lead the Earth, ship directly to his location. He could leave now. Finally, but his hands didn't move. He looked at Mira again. She was not a monster. She was lonely, hurt, desperate to feel love again. Jake's mind spun. She had cared for him. She had saved his life. She had never forced him to stay. Not truly. But Earth wouldn't understand her. They would see a giant alien woman with strange tech and secret cloning labs. They would kill her. No questions. Jake had to decide. Fast. He looked at the stars once more. I don't belong here, he said. But maybe. I don't belong there anymore either. He crushed the beacon in his hand. The light went out. Mira stared at him, confused. Jake smiled sadly. You saved me, he said. Now I'll save you. The stars were no longer calm. Above the floating island, dark shadows moved. Big, fast, and sharp, Earth's warship had arrived. Jake stood on the edge of the cliff. His fists were tight. His heart heavier than ever. Behind him, Mira stood still. Tall and silent, her white hair danced in the strange wind. Her glowing eyes watched the sky, but not with fear, with acceptance. A red light flashed above. A voice came from the sky. Human survivor identified. Prepare for extraction. Jake didn't answer. Another voice followed. Warning, unidentified alien tech detected. Cleansing protocol initiated. Jake's eyes widened. They weren't here just for him. They were here to wipe everything out. Mira stepped forward. Her body glowed. Not with anger, but with energy. She raised her arms. Not to attack, but to shield the home she had built. Jake shouted, No! Don't fight them. But she didn't move. She looked back at him. There was no hate in her eyes, only a quiet goodbye. From the sky a blast fired. Bright, loud, hot. Jake ran toward Mira, screaming. But just before the light hit, a blue shield burst from Mira's body. The beam exploded in the air, burning like a star. But the floating island stayed untouched. Mira dropped to one knee. She was strong, but not enough to stop them all. Jake grabbed the old signal stone. His only way to talk to Earth. He pressed it. This is Corporal Jake Vance, he said. Mission. Report, I'm alive, but you must stop. Do not fire. Silence, then a reply. Corporal Vance, your rescue is priority. Alien threat is not under negotiation. Jake clenched his jaw. She's not a threat. She saved me. Again and again. If you attack her, I won't come back. Another silence. Repeat, Corporal. Jake stared at Mira, now sitting, breathing hard, shielding the pod room with what little power she had left. He raised the stone again. I'm staying. If you fire, you'll kill me too. That worked. The warship paused. Weapons went silent. Then. Slowly, it turned. It didn't land. It didn't speak again. It left. Mira looked at Jake. Her body shook slightly, her power fading. Jake walked to her, put a hand on her arm. She spoke in a soft, almost broken voice. You stayed. Jake nodded. Yeah, I did. They sat together as the stars calmed once more. No more war sounds. No more running. Just peace. Later, inside the warm home, Jake looked at the pod again, the child still growing slowly inside. Whispered, Do you still want someone who stays? Mira looked at him, unsure. Jake smiled. A real one. Then teach me how to help. The screen fades to black. A final message appears. Sometimes the greatest war is inside the heart.